Hi! Thank you for visiting the Welcome to Kyushu channel. Today, we're going to check out an urban legend exhibition held in Sasebo at Shimano's Art Center. Before entering the museum, let me briefly introduce you to Sasebo. Sasebo City, the largest city in northern Nagasaki Prefecture, is home to about 230,000 people, ninth in population among Kyushu's cities. It is known as a city of shipbuilding and a naval port. Since the end of World War II, Sasebo has been home to both the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force Base and the U.S. Naval Base. It serves as an important hub for Japan's maritime defense. Sasebo City also puts great effort into tourism, and it is well known for Saikai National Park and Ritenbashi, one of the largest theme parks in Japan. Influenced by the presence of the U.S. military base, Sasebo is said to be the birthplace of hamburgers in Japan. Today, the city's signature Sasebo Burger, known for its sweet sauce and local flair, continues to attract visitors from across Japan and beyond. Now, let's dive right into the exhibition. First, let's start with the UFO and aliens section. As a note for viewers, it's important to remember that UFO means unidentified flying object. It does not necessarily refer to a spaceship carrying aliens. It is said that unidentified flying objects are considered to be real, but when it comes to the question of whether aliens have actually come to Earth, it seems we cannot say yes with certainty. Whether or not aliens truly exist, the exhibition explains that when humans talk about UFOs or extraterrestrials, it represents a kind of fascination or romance with the unknown. Now, let me show you some photos and illustrations related to aliens that were on display. Please note that the image quality isn't the best, as the exhibition was designed to be viewed in a dark setting. This one is an UFO alien. His hobby, it is said, was writing letters. Arriving from the planet UFO aboard a UFO, the UFO alien sent countless letters to people on Earth. The first person to receive a letter from the UFO alien was a man living in Spain. The sender's address was left blank, and the letters, typed on a typewriter, came in several pages. Although these letters were met with skepticism, the UFO alien is said to have continued writing and sending them to many people on Earth. According to the letters, the UFO alien looked just like a human being. Next, let's move on to the Kara incident. In the summer of 1972, a shocking incident occurred in the Kara district of Kochi Prefecture. A group of junior high school boys reportedly captured a UFO. The captured UFO was a small object, 18.2 centimeters wide, 7 centimeters tall, and weighing about 1.5 kilograms. Local junior high school students had witnessed it floating above a rice field several times, and eventually, they decided to carry out a plan to capture it. After throwing a thread over the UFO, the boys poured water on it, believing that water might be its weakness, since the UFO never appeared on rainy days. Finally, they threw a concrete block at it to stop its movement and successfully captured it. Thanks to their success, many of the boys and even a few adults were able to witness the UFO firsthand. However, the UFO, which was thought to have completely stopped functioning, eventually vanished without a trace. Even the recorded data from the report was mysteriously erased. But this was not the end of the incident. The small UFO appeared again before the boys, was captured again, and then escaped once more. It was found, caught, and lost repeatedly, over and over, as if playing a strange game of hide and seek with them. Next up is the world-famous Roswell incident. It is often regarded as the very beginning of alien conspiracy theories. On July 8, 1947, a newspaper article reported that the wreckage of a flying saucer had been recovered on a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico. However, as early as the very next day, the U.S. military issued a correction, stating that the recovered object was merely a weather balloon. But the story didn't end there. In the late 1970s, a UFO boom swept across America, and many researchers began digging into past incidents. At the center of this renewed interest stood the Roswell incident. By the 1980s, sensational claims began to surface, stories that alien bodies had been recovered from the Roswell crash, and that the government had been concealing information about extraterrestrials. These rumors sparked a surge of conspiracy theories, suggesting that the U.S. government not only made secret contact with aliens after Roswell but even received advanced technology from them. Some people go so far as to say that everyday inventions such as the microwave oven or even the internet owe their existence to alien cooperation. Today, Roswell has become a tourist destination and is regarded as a kind of mecca for UFO enthusiasts from around the world. And now, to wrap up our UFO section, let's take a look at the mysterious Flatwoods monster. This strange creature appeared after a supposed UFO sighting in the small town of Flatwoods, West Virginia, and has since become one of the most famous alien encounters in history. On September 17, 1952, in Flatwoods, West Virginia, a strange alien was reportedly sighted. A local boy and his mother saw what appeared to be a UFO descending onto a hill. Curious, they climbed the hill to investigate. What they claimed to have seen was a massive, dark, and bizarre creature, about 3 meters tall. Although no photos or physical evidence were ever found, their testimony strongly suggests that something was really there. Because it was sighted at the same time as the UFO, the creature is believed to have been an alien. In Japan, it became known as the 3-meter-tall alien. Illustrations of the monster published in magazines at the time shocked many children, inspiring a number of anime and tokusatsu, meaning special effects, characters later on. For example, the angel Sachiel from Neon Genesis Evangelion is said to have been influenced by this creature's design. However, researchers later pointed out that the famous illustration of the monster was actually created by a TV program covering the incident. It seems that some of its features were exaggerated or even different from what the witnesses originally described. Now, let's move on to the mysterious creatures section. In Japan, these mysterious beings actually have a unique name. We call them UMA, which stands for Unidentified Mysterious Animal. Let's take a look at some photos of these UMAs. While this section includes famous ones like Nessie, I'd like to focus on a few of the rarer and lesser-known creatures this time. Let's start with one of Japan's most famous legendary creatures, the mysterious snake known as the Tsuchinoko. Sightings of the Tsuchinoko have been reported all across Japan, except in Hokkaido and Okinawa, the northernmost and southernmost regions. It's said to be about 30 to 80 centimeters long and 7 to 15 centimeters thick. Often described as a phantom snake, the Tsuchinoko is said to have one very unusual trait: it can jump, something ordinary snakes can't do. In fact, in the past, the Tsuchinoko wasn't considered a UMA at all. It was spoken of as a yokai, a kind of Japanese folklore creature, much like the kappa, a mischievous water imp, or the tengu, a long-nosed mountain spirit. According to old folklore, people believed that the Tsuchinoko lived together with humans in the mountains it inhabited. In the 1970s, interest in the Tsuchinoko grew as people began to see it as a real creature rather than a myth. Some towns even offered rewards for anyone who could capture one, with the prize reaching as high as 100 million yen, or roughly $700,000. Even today, there are still people seriously searching for the elusive Tsuchinoko. Its fame spread so widely that it even made an appearance in Doraemon, one of Japan's most beloved anime series. In Doraemon, there's even a memorable scene where Giant, the loud, overconfident class bully, discovers its Tsuchinoko and earns a place in history for it. Although the Tsuchinoko originated in Japan, there have been reported sightings in Switzerland and China as well. Next, let's take a look at the Japanese version of Bigfoot, the Hibagon. In the 1970s, Japan also had its own version of the Bigfoot phenomenon, a mysterious creature known as Hibagon. It was reportedly sighted around Mount Hiba in Hiroshima Prefecture. The creature was said to stand about 1.6 meters tall, larger than a monkey, and left footprints resembling those of a human. Most of the sightings occurred during a short period between 1970 and 1974. As a humanoid-type UMA, which is extremely rare in Japan, the Hibagon became a national sensation and was even featured in major news reports across the country. After that, Hibagon became a cultural icon, inspiring films and novels, and leaving a lasting impression on the memories of the Japanese people. Even today, statues and signs of Hibagon can be found throughout the local area, making it a popular tourist attraction. Visitors can even enjoy unique local specialties such as Hibagon rice bowls and Hibagon manju, sweet buns named after the creature. In other words, Hibagon is Japan's very own legendary Bigfoot. Next, let's take a look at something I personally find fascinating: the Monkey Man. The Monkey Man is a unique type of cryptid UMA that was sighted in India in 2001. It was said to stand between 1.3 and 1.7 meters tall, covered head to toe in black fur, and looked like something between a monkey and a human. So far, it might sound similar to Bigfoot or the Yeti, but what makes this creature stand out is one strange detail: it was reportedly wearing a helmet. Witnesses also claimed that it made a weird mechanical noise, almost like the sound of an engine running. Because of its striking and bizarre appearance, the Monkey Man caused mass panic in India, with thousands of people fleeing their homes in fear. Meanwhile, in Japan, it was introduced in a more humorous light, even inspiring the release of soft vinyl figures that became quite popular among collectors. In other words, the Monkey Man is a very rare type of Uma, one that embodies both fear and humor at the same time. Next, let's move on to another one of my personal favorites, the Mothman. In the town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, a series of strange sightings occurred between 1966 and 1967. The mysterious creature seen by many was called Mothman. It stood about 2 meters tall, with enormous wings, no visible face, and large, glowing red eyes on its chest. Its eerie appearance left people both terrified and deeply fascinated. Before long, the Mothman story grew beyond a simple eyewitness account and evolved into an urban legend. It was said that when the Mothman appears, a tragic event soon follows. Was it an omen of disaster, or a messenger warning people of danger? Even today, its true nature remains a mystery. Today, the Mothman has become so popular that the town even hosts an annual Mothman festival. Once a symbol of fear, it has now transformed into a beloved icon representing the town itself. Even in Japan, there have been reports of sightings, including one said to be filmed above a university in Kyoto. All around the world, Mothman sightings continue to this day. It has appeared in films, anime, and video games, and is now recognized as one of the most famous cryptids in the world. After those fascinating and sometimes amusing umas, we now move on to the mysteries of the world section. Here, you'll find mysterious artifacts and unexplained phenomena connected to ancient civilizations and legends. This exhibit explores how UFOs and UMAs may have intertwined with human history, and whether they might even be traces of parallel worlds or other dimensions, a journey into the romance of the unknown. Let's begin with the coin from a parallel world. In Japan, where years are often counted by imperial eras rather than the Western calendar, there were reports of a mysterious 10,000 yen coin engraved with Showa 65, a year that would have corresponded to 1989, but one that should not exist. Astonishingly, this strange coin was said to have been used at convenience stores, first in Nagasaki Prefecture in 2012, and later in Hokkaido in 2017. The Showa era officially ended at year 64, so a coin marked Showa 65 should not exist at all. What's more, the coin was crafted with incredible precision, far too sophisticated to be a counterfeit, and looked almost like a genuine gold coin. No one has been able to explain why or how a coin from a non-existent year was ever made. Some believe this mysterious coin might be evidence of a parallel world, a place where history took a slightly different path. If there truly exists another reality where the Showa era continued beyond year 64, then perhaps this coin was used in that world. And somehow, it slipped into ours by mistake. This mysterious coin was even featured on Japanese TV programs, astonishing countless viewers. Do you believe it's real evidence of something extraordinary, or do you think it's just a coincidence? Next, let's take a look at a mysterious figure known as this man. Have you ever heard of a strange man called this man? In 2006, a female patient in the US told her psychiatrist that she had been seeing the same man over and over in her dreams. Amazingly, other patients reported the very same man appearing in their dreams as well. By 2008, more than 2,000 people around the world had claimed to have seen this mysterious figure. To track down the truth behind this mysterious man, a website titled "Ever Dreamed This Man?" was launched. It quickly became a viral sensation. That eerie face, and the unexplained phenomenon surrounding it, terrified people across the world, spreading rapidly as a modern urban legend. However, in 2010, it was revealed that this man was not real at all. He was part of a marketing experiment created by Italian artist Andrea Nutella. The testimonies, the website, everything had been fabricated as part of a staged hoax. Even so, this man never completely disappeared. He went on to appear in movies and TV dramas, remembered as a haunting presence from people's dreams. His eerie image is often compared to another internet-born figure of horror, Slender Man. The mysterious man who appears in people's dreams, this man. Have you ever seen this face in your dreams? Next, let's take a look at ningen, a Japanese word that literally means human being. This is a new type of UMA that began spreading across the internet in the 2000s. It all began with a report from the crew of a Japanese Antarctic whaling ship. They claimed to have seen a massive, human-shaped creature, completely white and several dozen meters long. This top-secret account was posted on the online forum 2 channel, where it quickly gained attention. Soon, dedicated threads were created, fake photos began circulating, and the story spread like wildfire across the internet. Much like Nessie or Bigfoot, ningen is often spoken of as a mysterious creature, but it's unique to the internet generation. It gained popularity especially among younger audiences, and today, it has become one of the most well-known modern urban legends. The appeal of this story doesn't lie in whether it's real or not, but in how much it sparks our imagination. Ningen is truly a UMA that symbolizes the spirit of the internet age. Next, let's take a look at the creature that terrified parents all around the world. What was the true identity of this monster? Messages began appearing on social media from someone, or something, calling itself MOMO. Its profile icon showed a disturbing creature, part bird and part woman. This MOMO would share people's private information and follow it with threats of violence toward their families. To stop it, the monster demanded impossible tasks through messages, and ultimately, it sent a chilling final order that pushed victims to the brink. The malicious message game known as the MOMO Challenge began attracting global concern in July 2018. Warnings quickly spread across Latin America, Europe, the US, and India, urging parents to keep children away from it. However, in reality, the so-called game never actually spread, only the creepy image and fake chat screenshots did. There were no verified cases of children being harmed or influenced by it. The MOMO Challenge, it turned out, was nothing more than a hoax. Even after being debunked, the panic resurfaced in the UK in 2019, once again terrifying parents. The reason for its lasting impact likely lies in MOMO's horrifying visual, the grotesque half-bird, half-woman face that haunted social media. In truth, that image came from a Japanese artwork titled Ubium, the mother spirit bird, created by sculptor Keisuke Iso, CEO of Link Factory, who also contributed to this exhibition. The image was stolen without permission, renamed MOMO, and used to spread fear worldwide. If you look closely at the image, you'll notice a protective charm, or paper talisman, placed around Momo's neck. This was attached by a Japanese YouTuber who works as a spiritual medium. It happened after a series of unexplained paranormal incidents occurred at another venue before the exhibition arrived in Sasebo. The talisman was meant to calm Momo's curse and prevent any further strange phenomena from happening during the display. After exploring all those strange and fascinating stories, it's time to enter the ghost story section. In Japan, ghost stories, or kaidan, come in many forms. Some are fictional tales created for entertainment, others are based on real-life experiences, and some have been passed from person to person, eventually becoming urban legends. What makes urban legends especially intriguing is how their truth remains uncertain. As these stories spread by word of mouth, they seem to gain a mysterious power of their own, blurring the line between fact and imagination. Let's begin with the first story, the witching hour curse, known in Japan as Ushi no Kokuma Eerie. An ancient Japanese ritual known as Ushi no Kokuma Eerie, the cursing ceremony of the witching hour, appears in old folklore and is said to have begun over 1,000 years ago. Long ago, there was a woman tormented by an impossible love. She wished to curse both the man she loved and the woman who had stolen his heart, so she sought advice from the famous Onmyoji, a master of divination and exorcism, named Abi no Seimei. Seimei told her, "If you immerse yourself in the waters of the Anji River for 21 days, you shall become a demon." The woman painted her entire body red, placed an iron ring upside down on her head with 3 burning torches, and even held fire in her mouth. In this terrifying form, she left the capital each night and made her way toward the Uji River. On the 21st night, the woman finally transformed into the bridge princess of Uji. In her fury, she killed the man she loved, his rival lover, and even their families. This tragic tale is said to be the origin of the dark ritual known as Ushi no Kokuma Eerie, the cursed hour of vengeance. As time went on, the form of the ritual evolved. In the late Edo period, people began driving 5-inch nails through straw dolls into sacred trees at shrines. By the early Showa era, around the 1930s, the typical image had changed. The practitioner was said to hold a razor blade in her mouth while performing the curse. And in modern times, some are said to use photographs of their targets instead of straw dolls. Although the methods changed, the intense desire to curse another human has been passed down for more than 1,000 years. It is precisely that raw, vengeful emotion, not the rituals, tools, or gestures, that has allowed Ushi no Kokumari to survive as a dark thread in Japanese culture to this day. Next up is Jinmenken, the human-faced dog, a phenomenon that once swept through Japan's elementary schools. Among Japan's many urban legends, one of the most unique is the Jinmenken, or human-faced dog. The story goes like this: one day, someone threw a stone at a dog rummaging around a garbage dump. When the dog turned around, its face was that of a human. It looked like the face of a man who had lived for decades, and in a weary voice, it whispered, "Stop it." This strange rumor spread rapidly across Japan during the 1980s. It gained particular attention in 1989, when writer Motofumi Ishimaru featured the human-faced dog in the popular teen magazine Pop Teen. His repeated mentions on TV and radio fueled the phenomenon, sparking a nationwide boom in the legend of the Jinmenken. At the time, the Jinmenken was often portrayed as something almost fairy-like or otherworldly. It was said to appear in back alleys of rural towns, sometimes chasing after cars and motorcycles, other times overtaking them and darting away, its behavior oddly comical and a bit absurd. However, as the boom grew, Jinmenken evolved from being just a rumor into a subject of literature and academic study, becoming a true cultural phenomenon. It eventually found its place as a part of Japan's pop culture lore. Jinmenken is a uniquely Japanese and very unusual type of urban legend. That's because, unlike most legends, it had a clear creator behind its spread. It wasn't a naturally occurring ghost story, but rather a case that spread nationwide through media influence and deliberate planning, a truly exceptional example of its kind. Next, let's move on to one of Japan's most beloved types of haunted locations, the haunted tunnel. Across Japan, there are said to be countless haunted tunnels. But the origin of these eerie stories is believed to trace back to one particular tunnel in Nagasaki Prefecture. A group of young people once visited the tunnel for a test of courage. They parked their car and began exploring inside. At first, nothing happened. Then, one of them said, "I heard that if you honk the horn 3 times, a ghost will appear." The next moment, something fell from the ceiling of the tunnel and hit the car's hood with a loud thud. When they looked closer, it was a blood-soaked human hand. Panicked, the group of young people slammed on the gas and sped out of the tunnel. When they finally escaped and took refuge at a nearby convenience store, they tried to catch their breath, only to notice that the car windows were covered in countless handprints. Even worse, one of their friends had vanished without a trace. When they returned to the site, they found their missing friend standing motionless at the tunnel entrance. No matter how many times they called out to him, he didn't respond. No one knows what he saw inside that tunnel, but from that day on, he lost his sanity and was never the same again. That chilling story went on to become the prototype for countless tunnel ghost tales told across Japan. Now, let's move on to the final story in the ghost stories section, one that truly deserves its place at the end, the Slit-Mouthed Woman, or Kuchisake-onna. Among Japan's urban legends, one of the most famous figures is the Slit-Mouthed Woman, or Kuchisake-onna. Her terrifying story swept across the entire nation in 1979, sparking a nationwide craze. The story is simple. At dusk, on a quiet street corner, a woman wearing a mask suddenly approaches you and asks, "Am I beautiful?" If you answer, "Yes, you are," the woman slowly removes her mask, revealing a gaping mouth, slit all the way to her ears. This terrifying image spread across Japan in the blink of an eye. Newspapers and TV stations reported on it one after another, children trembled on their way to and from school, and even parents and teachers became alarmed, turning Kuchisake-onna into a full-blown social phenomenon. Before long, the rumors grew wilder and wilder. People began saying things like, "The slit-mouthed woman is over 2 meters tall and can chase you at superhuman speed. If you shout the word pomade, she'll leave you alone. Throwing candy will distract her." These bizarre methods of defense became part of the legend itself. The original story was rooted in a very real kind of fear, that of a strange woman lurking in the neighborhood. But through media coverage and the power of imagination, that ordinary fear evolved into the legend of a full-fledged monster. The Slit-Mouthed Woman became the very symbol of how urban legend culture took root in Japan, a true superstar of modern folklore. Even today, her story continues to be told, leaving such a lasting impact that it's now known far beyond Japan's borders. Now then, let's move on to something a little closer to home for many Japanese people: school ghost stories. School ghost stories is one of the most iconic series born out of Japan's urban legend boom in the 1990s. It was around this time that the very term urban legend became widely recognized. Set in familiar school settings, these eerie tales sparked children's imaginations, and stories like Hanako of the Toilet spread rapidly across the country. The book series School Ghost Stories, which began in 1990, became a bestseller and later inspired films and related works. Through its popularity, it had a major influence on Japan's modern ghost story culture. Now, let's take a look at 4 timeless classics from the School Ghost Stories series. Let's begin with the first story, The Square. It begins as a simple game. 4 people stand silently at the 4 corners of a square classroom. Each person holds a dimly glowing smartphone in hand and lightly taps the shoulder of the person next to them. The first taps the second. The second taps the third. The third taps the fourth. And then, just as the fourth should tap the first to complete the circle, there stands a 5th person, someone who shouldn't be there at all. That mysterious figure then begins to move, naturally, as if they had been part of the group all along, tapping the next person's shoulder. Before you know it, in the dimly lit classroom, 5, 6, and more shadowy figures are walking in an endless circle. In fact, this game only came to be known as the Square between the 1980s and 1990s. But similar rituals have existed in Japan for centuries. They had names like Oheya-sama, a spirit-inviting game played in a room, Hizasuri, a knee-rubbing seance, and Tonari no Baba, the old woman next door, different in name, but all sharing the same purpose, a summoning ritual meant to call forth someone who isn't supposed to be there. Next, let's move on to Teke-Teke. After school, when you look up at the school building, you notice a beautiful girl staring down at you from a window. When you call out, "Let's go home together," she smiles and then leaps out of the window. But her body was missing from the waist down. Using only her arms, the girl struck the ground and rushed forward at an unbelievable speed. Then came that eerie sound, clack clack, clack clack. No matter how fast you run, once she catches up, it's over. That dreadful sound will close in, wrapping you in pure terror. This ghost story first spread in the 1980s as a kind of party entertainment, and by the 1990s it had made its way into schools, passed among children. Today, it remains one of the classic tales in the School Ghost Stories series. Next, let's move on to perhaps the most iconic tale in Japanese school ghost stories, Hanako of the Toilet. When it comes to Japanese school ghost stories, none are more famous than Hanako of the Toilet. It's said that if you go to the 3rd stall in the girls' bathroom and call out, "Hanako, are you there?" a voice will softly reply, "Yes," from inside the stall. Hanako is usually described as a young girl with a bob haircut, wearing a red skirt. Most versions say she's harmless, just a lonely spirit haunting the school restroom. But some stories warn of a darker Hanako, one who drags those who call her name into the stall, never to be seen again. At one school, 4 girls decided to summon Hanako by chanting, 1, 2, 3, in front of the stalls. But only one of them actually spoke the words aloud. When she stepped into the restroom and opened the 3rd stall, there, hanging inside, were her 3 friends. Their bodies swaying silently in the air. It's said that the rumor of Hanako began to spread soon after World War II, but she became nationally famous in the 1990s. Television shows and manga featured her story, turning Hanako into the superstar of all school ghost tales. And now, we've reached the final story in our School Ghost Tales series, Kokiri-san. When I was in elementary school, this one was incredibly popular. A ghost story that almost every Japanese student has heard at least once, Kokiri-san. You take a sheet of paper and draw yes and no, the Japanese syllabary, some numbers, and a tori, the traditional Shinto gate that marks the entrance to sacred space. Then, you place a 10-yen coin in the center, rest your fingers lightly on it, and say, "Kokiri-san, please come." When you ask a question, the 10-yen coin begins to move on its own, spelling out the answer. But, there is one unbreakable rule. You must finish by saying, "Kokiri-san, please go back." If you lift your finger before sending the spirit away, the curse will fall upon you. That is the chilling rule whispered in every school. The origin of this game traces back to the Meiji era, from 1868 to 1912, when a Western spiritual practice known as table turning was introduced to Japan. What began as a fashionable pastime among adults resurfaced in the 1970s, evolving into a mysterious game that soon spread among children across the country. Later on, as the game was deemed too dangerous, many schools officially banned it. At the same time, safer versions began to appear, such as Angel-san, a lighter, friendlier adaptation of the original ritual. It's something anyone can try, yet if you do it without caution, you might face irreversible consequences. Kokiri-san remains one of Japan's most iconic and enduring school ghost stories, a true urban legend that continues to be told to this day. We've explored umas and ghost stories, a parade of mysteries and strange tales from around the world, and now, it's time for the grand finale of this exhibition, the highlight you've all been waiting for, the cursed objects. This eerie figure, known as the Argentinian torture doll, was once actually used in Argentina. It's a chilling artifact with a dark history behind it. However, it was not a tool used to physically torment people. Instead, these dolls were hung at the entrances of a row of torture cells as a kind of status indicator, a quick visual cue showing the condition of the person inside. For example, the doll might signal that the prisoner's arms were useless, their eyes burned out, their teeth removed, their tendons severed, and their flesh flayed, essentially indicating that the occupant was barely alive. Rather than entering each room and confronting the gruesome sight and smell, powerful visitors could simply glance at the wooden figure and know, at once, how horrifically the prisoner had been treated, then raise a glass of wine and move on. This is the grim purpose behind the Argentinian torture doll, a macabre shorthand that turned human suffering into a spectacle. It is currently owned by Yasuhiro Hayase, one half of the Japanese duo Toshi Boys, who are known for exploring urban legends and occult phenomena from their own unique perspective. Now, let's move on to the next item, a certain cursed cat figurine with a dark and mysterious history. This cat figurine was said to have been brought back from a battlefield by the family's grandfather. But ever since then, a series of misfortunes began to strike the family, unexplained illnesses, strange accidents, and growing fear. Eventually, unable to bear it any longer, they decided to sell the figurine on an online marketplace. When the family listed it for sale, they included a warning describing the strange events linked to the figurine. As a result, no one dared to buy it, until one day, a YouTuber stepped forward, saying, "If it's really that scary, then let's test it out," and decided to take the figurine in. However, not long after, the YouTuber began experiencing strange symptoms in his ears and soon fell ill. The figurine was then passed on to another YouTuber, but this time, eerie incidents involving ears began happening in that person's household as well. Eventually, this cat figurine found its way to the urban legend researcher Yasuhiro Hayase. One day, while his wife was using a hairdryer, she suddenly heard someone whisper her name right by her ear. Even more chilling, the voice was later discovered in a video recording, along with what sounded unmistakably like a cat's meow woven into the audio. Later, when Yasuhiro appeared live on a TV program, the comments section was flooded with messages from viewers saying, "I can hear a cat's voice." Even now, something mysterious may still dwell within it. This is the story of the cursed cat figurine. Like the Argentine torture effigy, this item is also currently owned by Yasuhiro Hayase of the duo Toshi Boys. Next, let's take a look at a painting known as the doll portrait. A man named Dan Smith, a pseudonym, a collector of rare curiosities, discovered this painting one day at a flea market. The seller warned him, "You'd better not take this home, it's dangerous." But unable to resist his curiosity, Dan decided to buy it and brought it back to his house. That night, as he slept, Dan felt something crawling across his face. When he woke up, he realized it was a swarm of insects. Disturbed, he searched the room and discovered that the bugs were coming from the back of his closet. Horrified but determined, he tried to seal off the source by covering it with layers of duct tape, hoping to contain whatever was inside. The next morning, he noticed that his pet hamster wasn't moving. When he looked closer, he saw insects spilling out of its mouth. The faint heartbeat he thought he had felt wasn't a sign of life at all, it was the movement of countless crawling bugs inside its body. Terrified, Dan locked the painting away in a storage room. But even then, the strange happenings didn't stop. The plumbing broke, the internet kept cutting out, and before long, his own health began to deteriorate day by day. At last, Dan decided to put the painting up for auction. He added one chilling note to the listing. Only those brave enough to own a cursed painting may bid. The listing quickly caught public attention, even making the news. And the one who ultimately won the bid was none other than Yasuhiro Hayase, the Japanese urban legend researcher. However, on the very day the painting arrived, something strange happened. Both the toilet and the bathroom in his house broke down at the same time. Even more unsettling, Yasuhiro himself suddenly found he could no longer eat meat or rice, and his weight began to drop rapidly. He had been told that the painting depicted a baby on the left and a doll on the right. However, when a professional artist examined it, an unexpected truth came to light. The pigments used on each side are different, and so are the periods in which they were painted. The artist further suggested that the doll on the right had been added later, possibly to conceal something else beneath the original layer of paint. And then he added, with a chilling insight, perhaps the figure on the left, the one that looks like a baby, is actually the real doll. If the painted overlayer were ever to be scraped away, something hidden might be revealed beneath. To this day, the investigation continues. This is the so-called cursed painting, the doll portrait. And now, we come to the final exhibit, one that personally fascinates me the most. Some of you may already recognize it. This is the legendary shrunken head of South America. What you're seeing here isn't an actual human relic, but a replica, a reproduction of what's known by its proper name, Zansa. It represents one of the most striking and mysterious cultural artifacts in human history. This was said to be a kind of trophy created by the Javaro, or Shuar people, who once lived in the Amazon regions of Ecuador and Peru. It was made by processing the heads of their enemies, a practice deeply rooted in their traditional beliefs. It was not merely an act of cruelty, but something that held deep religious and spiritual significance for them. They believed it could seal the enemy's soul, prevent cycles of revenge, and prove a warrior's courage through this sacred ritual. The creation process was highly intricate. The skin of the severed head was carefully treated, then boiled, dried, and reshaped repeatedly until it finally shrank to about the size of an orange. The eyes and mouth were sewn shut to prevent the spirit from escaping, according to their beliefs. By the 1930s, these shrunken heads began to attract attention from the outside world, and among some settlers, they were even traded as collector's items. At the time, the price for one was around $25, equivalent to roughly $450 in today's value. However, the practice was eventually banned internationally, and today it survives only as a cultural and ethnological artifact, passed down as a reminder of a once unique tradition. The owner is Keisuke Iso, a sculptor and contemporary artist. Through his works and exhibitions, he conveys the shadows and spiritual beliefs of human culture, preserving them as powerful expressions of art in the modern age. We covered a lot today. I hope you enjoyed the journey. I've long been drawn to spirits and monsters, from Japanese folklore, to curses, and to the unexplained. If you'd like more deep dives into stories like these, let me know. I'm planning future episodes. Thanks for watching. See you soon.